Welcome to another Fun Film Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Mr. Kim McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, that's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and McGee_McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, too, you can catch all the 5 live shows throughout the week. So you happen to miss them, you can go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. And speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, you can follow them on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you want to subscribe to our podcast, Second City Sports, you can do so by going to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And make sure you give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. You have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and or do something stupid, we know it's Halloween. For those of you that celebrate that goofy holiday, you have any tricks up your sleeve? I've given Lakina full power to give you full stability. Be a boot.
Bye-bye.
I love when she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you that you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago, now available on Roku TV. That's right. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand. If you already have a Roku TV, just tap on the sports photo and download Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue, I should say. If you don't have a Roku TV, that's okay. You have a handheld device laying around. Your cell phone, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook like I'm using right now. Lakia using her personal PC. Just download the Roku TV app and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So once again, Sports Zone Chicago is available on Roku TV. So get it with the program today. Lakina, every Monday we do it around this time. This is our NFL Power Hour. But before we review yesterday's action, we must talk about the Chicago Bears. They go down to Big D in Dallas, Texas. They drop one to the Dallas Cowboys by the score of 49-29. Dak Prescott for the Cowboys, 21-27, 250 yards and 2 touchdown passes. His quarterback rating was a stellar 114.5. Justin Fields on the other side had a couple of touchdown passes yesterday, 2 to be exact, off of 723 for 151 yards. His overall rating was 120. Khalil Herbert, 16 carries, 99 yards. David Montgomery, 15 carries, 53 yards, and a fumble. Lakina will dive into this more in just a minute, but the defense simply didn't show up yesterday. And for those of you who don't want to say that Robert Quinn would have made a difference yesterday, I don't want to hear it, because Dallas is a better team than the Chicago Bears. They showed that yesterday, and they didn't even put Ezekiel Elliott in the lineup. You know what? You want to know why? Because they have a bye week. They have bigger goals in mind. Lakina, it's just, we said this before the start of the season. We'll say it again. This is a year of transition for our Chicago Bears. And yesterday, they have a long way to go to get where they need to be. And Dallas just proved that point again yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that game. I was watching because it was only a noon game on here in Chicago. So I was watching some of the other noon games via this laptop here, and I saw a little bit of it. Look, I mean, Dallas came out swinging. The Bears did come back. They scored 17 in the second quarter. Got a little bit of hope, but then it was kind of like a punch counter punch. And once people forget that Tony Pollard is actually a pretty serviceable backup running back. And like you said, they really didn't need Zeke because they got bigger fish to fry. 131 yards from Pollard. Rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. So he was just running right through that Bears defense. And yeah, Robert Quinn, but I doubt if he would have made a difference if Robert Quinn was still here. So it was sort of one of those things where you're kind of like, really, that's just silly to say that he would have made a dent of a difference. Now there was some, sort of like weird, wacky things. There were some penalties when Michael Parsons got that scoop and score that kind of put the game away. Justin Fields kind of just hopped over him, and I don't think did someone forget to tell him that in the NFL when there was a change of possession, you actually have to try to tackle the guy, or as
at least touch him.
Yeah, or tag him, as Peanut Tillman said on Twitter yesterday during the game. So that was a little bit weird. I know, yes, he had a nice an 120 quarterback rating, 2 touchdowns and such. He had a couple interceptions that there was a one that was a penalty, and then there was another one that it didn't count. So kind of got a little bit let off the hook there. It was just one of those things where, look, the Bears are back to being who they are. I know people were always saying after I went against New England last Monday, oh, the Bears might have a shot of getting to the playoffs, making a playoff berth or whatever. But Dallas said Dallas kind of gave me the Matumbo finger wet and said, "Oh, thankfully he's doing a lot better." So we're thinking about Dikembe, but it was just like, really, like, come on, Bears fans, really, you actually think this team has a shot of making the playoffs? And who knows? I mean, some people said maybe Eddie Jackson with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow. Could Eddie Jackson be on the move? Could a couple of other like secondary guys in that defense be on the move too? So it's just like, I think people just kind of just need to chill on the whole expectations and such. This is a rebuild. There's nothing, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I know our buddy Vernon said that that Jason, of course, what's up, cuz you can check him out tonight. He's gonna be looking at his chops for the Dolphins game. That's their next opponent next week. But yeah, it's just like no, this Bears team is exactly who you thought they were.
You listen to Second City Sports, the Monday edition, live in living color on Sports on Chicago. Sid Lakina here with you, hanging out with you, discussing the Bears' 49-29 loss to the Dallas Cowboys, dropping the Bears to 3-5, 1-4 away from Soldier Field. Another thing that I was encouraged about Lakina, he only had 2 catches in the game, but one of them was a touchdown pass, his first since his rookie year 2020. Cole Kmet, yay!
He's on the team, yay!
Yeah, exactly. I was encouraged by that. But I was also encouraged by, you mentioned Eddie Jackson. He did get a pick yesterday. But the downside of it is for that Bears defense, we know that the run defense has been terrible all season long. But Jaquan Brisker did get a sack yesterday. So as I told you, Lakina, if the Bears get 3 sacks or more, they usually win. They only got 1 sack yesterday. And it was all down here.
1 whole sack. Like, bravo for you, Jaquan Brisker. I mean, look. I just think I've heard sports radio here in Chicago can be a little bit of a touch and go at times, because I won't say the names, but there are some they just want to roll their eyes. I'm like, really, you really want to put that out there? But I mean, look, N'Keal, Harry had a touchdown catch and such. I mean, the rushing. Why didn't Dave Montgomery get the ball more? I know Khalil Herbert had almost 100 yards rushing and a touchdown, but it really didn't matter by that point. So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, you got your butts kicked by Dallas. Okay, you okay, yeah. Again, you didn't play a complete game, and look, you play the Dolphins on Sunday. Good luck trying to slow down Tyreek Hill. Good luck to you. Good luck to you, Bears defense. Good luck to you.
Yeah, just a couple of things just to wrap up on that Bears game before we move on to the rest of the action from yesterday, because there were some pretty interesting games as well, Lakina. The Bears have a lot of work to do. We know that about, especially revamping their defense. The offensive line, call me crazy, Lakina, but we know it's not perfect. As I said before, for the last couple of years, it's very good in terms of run blocking, but in terms of pass protection, it's been terrible. But yesterday's game, unless you saw something I didn't, I really don't have that much to say, because I hate repeating myself over and over again. But I thought it was okay in spots in terms of pass protection, but I really can't really ramble and rave about that offensive line. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best in the league, because we all know that it's not, but I don't have too much to say about that offensive line yesterday. Maybe because the game was that much out of hand.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lieutenant Jenkins had like a terrible penalty, so that's a whole different situation. Now, as far as the line itself, I mean, I know they've had some injuries. They have had guys that were banged up. So, okay, yeah, okay, look, okay, fine, 4 sacks. You allowed 4, just you Field to get sacked 4 times. And I'm telling folks, I've been telling people that Fields is going to get hurt at some point, having to when the pocket collapses, it collapses quick. He's gonna have to run, and I hope he doesn't step on the turf the wrong way, and he ends up being hurt and he's gone for the year. I'm not putting that out there, but this O line is just it's just putrid. So let's move on because I'm getting angry at this. But this game doesn't deserve any more time. So you listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sydney Brownlee, Keenan McGee talking Bears and NFL.
Yeah, if you still have a question or comment about yesterday's Bears game, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in questions and comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Now, let's start out with yesterday's action in London, where the Denver Broncos finally get a win behind Russell Wilson, who made his return to the lineup. They defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 21-17. Russell Wilson, 18-30, 252 yards and a touchdown pass. Travis Etienne, the second-year running back out of Clemson, for Jacksonville, 24 carries, 156 yards and a touchdown. And Latavius Murray had the go-ahead touchdown, and he's their new running back for the Denver Broncos. And Jacksonville going into yesterday's game was 0-5 in one-score games this year. Now make it 0-6 after yesterday's loss. And Trevor Lawrence made that silly interception yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you wonder why didn't Etienne get the ball more for Jacksonville, 156 yards and a touchdown. He really, we didn't hear him too much, that sort of like that later point in the game. Now, look, if you're Russell Wilson and Denver, this is what you really needed. You really need this win to try to kind of get into sort of like be kind of like right there in the thick of it for the AFC wild card, I should say. Now, I think Latavius Murray, I forgot which team he played for, but he is the first NFL player to score in London twice for two different teams. I think he did with the Saints a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. So
you may be right.
Yeah, I might be. Correct me on that. But yeah, I mean, look, I think if you're Denver, this is definitely the sort of like the spot that you needed. And what Jerry Jeudy had 63 yards and a touchdown for them, and it was really the defense for Denver that kind of slowed them down. So and got those two interceptions from Trevor Lawrence. And look, Jacksonville, I mean, they're becoming kind of a disappointment. We'll probably do it on Friday with our girl Christine, but Christine Macro KXRB. But I feel like Jacksonville's kind of been one of those disappointing teams in the league this year because a lot of people thought, they made all these transitions, with Christian Kirk and some of the other moves that they made, and then he brought in Doug Peterson, kind of a Super Bowl winning coach, but then they're just like you said, they're like 0-8 on one-score games. They're like 0-3 this year alone in one-score games. Mm-hmm. So it's just not clear for Jacksonville right now.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, I think, has this team on the right track, but this is just like the Bears. This is a young team as they go through some growing pains. You think they will catch lightning bottom. Maybe they still can, but they're still learning how to win. But right now, they're just making critical mistakes at bad times. You saw that yesterday. You saw that last week against the Giants. You saw it on opening day at Washington. We'll get to Washington later. But this team, I still believe, is on the right track. They just had to learn how to win. Let's get one more game in, Lakina, before the bottom of the hour break. And one of the games of the day, the Atlanta Falcons come from behind to beat the Carolina Panthers 37-34 in overtime. PJ Walker for Carolina, 19-36, 317 yards in that game-tying touchdown at the end of regulation. Deontay Foreman for Carolina, 26 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And DJ Moore, I think that name's going to be brought up again later on in this hour. 6 catches, 152 yards in that game-tying touchdown. Lakina, this is for DJ Moore. This ain't the 90s anymore. Keep your helmet on till you get to the sidelines. Don't do anything stupid. Oh, I'm sorry. Too late.
Well, here's the thing with also Eddie Pinheiro needs to be took to task as well. I mean, yeah, that Moore penalty, it was bad and it was awful and it was just stupid. Yeah, we get that, but and the Pinheiro had like a 48-yard field goal that went indoors. By the way, it wasn't like he had like wind, like the winds are calm. Then he had another chance to win after it was after C.J. Henderson caught Mariota interception. Then had a shot to score again. What was a 30-yard or a chip shot for Pinheiro? He missed it. He hooks it left. So the first I think the second guy to do that this year, but it's sort of Yahoo Koo came on and the Falcons were set up a game-winning field goal, and now they're in first place at 4-4 in the NFC South. So I don't think anybody's got that earlier this year, but a nice win for the Falcons. Look, the Panthers, you had your shots and you just couldn't take it.
Yeah, the Panthers dropped to 2-6, and the Falcons, as you mentioned, improved their record to 4-4, first place in the NFC South. More recap of Week 8 from the NFL in just a moment. Also, we'll give you our studs and duds from yesterday, and we'll give you a quick preview of tonight's Monday Night Football contest between the Cincinnati Bengals and those Cleveland Browns. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You're listening to the Monday edition of Second City Sports, real live in the living color, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. We're live in the living color on the Monday edition, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can get at yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, that's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
We have less than 90 minutes left for this extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. If you want to get at us via the comment section, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions and comments in the comment section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you. Continuing with our Week 8 recap from yesterday, let's go to the Motor City where the Miami Dolphins come back from a 27-17 halftime deficit to beat the Detroit Lions 31-27 to a Tagovailoa 29-36, 382 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Raheem Mostert ran the ball hard for the Fighting Fish 14 times for 64 yards. Tyreek Hill 12 catches for 188 yards. As you said, Lakina, good luck with the Bears trying to stop him next week. But Jalen Waddle, my guy on my fantasy team, by the way, had 2 touchdown catches. He had over 100 yards of receiving.
My buddy Mike Gesicki got it on the act too. He had a touchdown catch as well.
Yes,
for the
he did.
Dolphins. Yeah, 14-0 that they were up. I'm talking about Detroit. They were up 27-17 at halftime. So unfortunately, again, another loss for Detroit. And I guess they fired their defensive backs coach or defensive line coach or something like that. So, we've now, so like somebody said, they now entered the scapegoat portion of the program for Detroit. So, but a nice one for Miami, and they're 5-3. They're right in the thick of it for the AFC wild card, and look, it's sort of one of those wins that they had to really sort of grind it out, but by the second half, the Dolphins took complete control, and Tua had 3 touchdown passes. So look, a nice win for Miami.
Yeah, I watched the majority of that game live in 11 color via this computer screen. And the Miami did have a very good performance after trailing early. And from the second quarter, you could tell that they took complete control of the game. The Lions, as they always do, they step on their own 2 feet when it has something going good. Miami proves that record submission to 5-3. Detroit drops to 1-6. To Minneapolis we go, where the Minnesota Vikings held on to a 34-26 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, Lakina's guy, 31-44, 326 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Dalvin Cook for the Vikings ran the ball 20 times for 111 yards and a big touchdown. And DeAndre Hopkins, who had the catch of the day yesterday, he had 12 receptions for 159 yards and a score.
Yeah, just the defense just couldn't slow down the Vikings, and Cousins had 2 touchdowns. Of course, Dalvin Cook, who I have on my fantasy team, rushed for 111 yards and a touchdown. And of course, Adam Thielen had 67 receiving yards. So yeah, Minnesota is sort of been one of those teams, and it's sort of like they're kind of like quietly 6-1. Like nobody's really talking about them. They're sort of like just saying, oh, okay, yeah, I know the Packers are having issues, and the Eagles are undefeated, and Dallas is doing well, and such. The NFC West is wild, and no one's paying attention to us. And if you're Kevin O'Connell, if you're a first-year head coach, and everybody else on that team, I think you're okay with that. So it was actually a pretty entertaining game yesterday.
Yeah, I was flipping back and forth between the Lions game and the Vikings game. Justin Jefferson didn't do much yesterday. Kirk Cousins, but for that first touchdown for the Vikings, he doesn't have Deion Sanders type speed. But where did that come from?
I don't think that kind of came out of nowhere. I saw that. Showing some wheels there. I don't think he's ran that much since he was at Michigan State. So
yeah, right.
So it's a little bit nutty, seeing that. But like I said, nice one from Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, as you mentioned, 6-1 overall in the year, 4-0 at home. The Cardinals dropped to 3-5, 2-2 away from home. To New Orleans, Louisiana, we go next, where the New Orleans Saints shut out the Las Vegas Raiders by the score of 24-0. The first time the Raiders have been shut out since November of 2014. Andy Dalton, which our girl Christine, the Queen Manica, made fun of on Friday as I picked the Saints. I think I was the only one on the panel that picked the Saints, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks a lot, Las Vegas. Thanks for nothing. Thank you.
But anywho, Andy Dalton for the Saints, 22 of 30, 229 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Alpha Kamara clearly with his best game of the year, running the ball 18 times for 62 yards and a score. He also had 9 catches, 96 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, Kamara is a hot name coming out for that trade deadline. So he had 2 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. So it was definitely all him. And if you're New Orleans, you wonder, is that something that you want to try to trade Kamara when his stock value is high? It's his 10th career game. We'll talk about Kamara with both a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown since the merger. There's only been 2 other players that have had that, Marshall Faulk and Brian Westbrook. So not that company there for if you're Kamara. So again, we'll see if he gets traded by tomorrow. And also, if they're 3-5, you want to think that they're probably maybe right there for one of the wild card spots, but they've been kind of up and down and such. And the Raiders, I don't know what the heck happened. I mean, they're off a bye, so you thought that maybe they would have a little bit of an effort. I know Josh McDaniels is sort of losing it right now, but come on. I mean, where was the effort yesterday? Not just because I picked him, but come on, where was the effort?
And you targeted Devontae Adams only 3 times. That's not going to get it done. So you mentioned the Saints pick up the win there, 3-5, while the Raiders are 2-5. It wasn't for the Denver Broncos. Lakina, I think the Raiders would be getting a whole lot more heat than they are right now. Let's go to New York City, where, as I told you on Friday, the New England Patriots will bounce back after their embarrassing loss at home against the Bears last week on Monday Night Football. The Patriots scored 13 unanswered points in the third quarter, on their way to a 22-17 win over the New York Jets. Zach Wilson for New York, 20 of 41, 355 yards, 2 touchdown passes, but 3 critical interceptions. Ramondre Stevenson ran the ball hard for the Pats, 16 times for 71 yards. Garrett Wilson, the rookie star wide receiver, had 6 catches for 115 yards for the Jets.
Yeah, if you're a Patriots fan, you're wondering where was this effort against the Bears on last Monday. But if you're the Patriots, but you digress. But look, and also too, Bill Belichick. I know how you feel about it, but he did earn his 325th career win, including the playoffs. He passed George House for second most on the all-time list by a head coach, sitting only behind Mr. Don Shula with 347 wins at this point. So congrats to him. Now, as far as the Patriots, Jets game, I kind of kept my one eye on it. Look, I mean, Mac Jones, he had the reception early on, but he was able to settle down. Zach Wilson, kind of falling back to earth a little bit. Now there are some are already questioning whether or not is he the guy. Elijah Moore, he's like getting a lot of touches, so we wonder is there's a little bit of trouble in paradise going on over there in New York, but it's sort of one of those sort of these games where. They're 4-4. I'm talking about the Patriots. Jets fall to 5-3, and it doesn't get any easier for the Jets either. So, they want to feel like want to be taken seriously. This was a game to do it, and they couldn't get it done.
Yep. In the last of the early games, the Philadelphia Eagles dominated their state rivals, the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the interconference matchup. The Philadelphia beat Pittsburgh 35-13. Jalen Hurts, 19 of 28, 285 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Miles Sanders ran the ball hard for the Gang Green 9 times for 78 yards in the score. A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 156 yards and 3 first-half touchdowns. Lakina, just total domination by the Eagles. It's enough said.
Yeah, if you had A.J. Brown in your fantasy league, you had a pretty good showing yesterday. He's the first Eagles player with 3 receiving touchdowns in the first half since he got all the way back to 2007 with Kevin Curtis. This is actually also the first time that a Eagles receiver had 3 receiving touchdowns of 20-plus yards over the air. So, if you're the Eagles, you don't have to really do too much. I mean, 4 touchdowns by Hurts. Miles Sanders had a rushing touchdown. And Zach Pascal had that other touchdown catch from Hurts. So, the Steelers couldn't get anything going. It was sort of one of those games where you're kind of like by halftime, you were really, unless you're an Eagles fan, you weren't watching it anymore. So,
exactly.
It's sort of a nice, sort of total domination from start to finish by the Eagles to stay undefeated.
Yeah. Yep, the Eagles are 7-0, and the Steelers are now 2-6 on the year. You're listening to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color on Sports Zone Chicago. Silly and Lakina here with you, reviewing Week 8 action from the National Football League. Now let's get into the late games. We'll start off with the lone game from the AFC. It was the Tennessee Titans holding on to a 17-10 victory over the Houston Texans. Davis Mills for Houston, 17 of 29, 152 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry, 32 carries for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Titans. Brandon Cooks for the Texans, 4 catches for 73 yards. Derrick Henry sets the Titans franchise record for TDs.
Yeah, it's the most games in NFL history with 200 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. He's done it 6 times already. I'm talking about Henry. 4 of those times, now 4 of those times have been against the Texans. So, Malik Willis didn't really have to do too much. He only threw the ball like 10 times. And, he had an interception early on. I think we're able to tell him, no, look, we got Derrick Henry. Just let him do it. 219 yards for him and such. Really didn't have to do too much. I mean, the defense just had to make sure that the Texans couldn't really, get anything going. Now they tried to make it interesting late, with that late touchdown, but it turned out to be really like all for naught.
Yeah, so the Houston Texans are now 1-5-1 on the year, while Tennessee improves their record to 5-2. They'll visit the Kansas City Chiefs next Sunday night for Sunday Night Football. To Lucas Oil Stadium, we'll stop at next. where the Washington Commanders hold on to a 17-16 victory over the Indianapolis Colts. I did watch some of this game via this computer screen. I did take a big old nap in the first half, but Taylor Heineke, the starting quarterback for the Commanders, 23 of 31, 279 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor ran the ball hard for the Colts, 16 times for 76 yards. Terry McLaurin, 6 catches for 113 yards and a big catch to set up the game-winning score.
Yeah, that was a huge catch. I'm sure if you're the defense for the Colts, you're kicking yourself because he had a shot to try to slow him down, but McLaren just told you why he got that big money as one of the best wide receivers in the league, and Heineke was able to sneak it in for the go-ahead TD for them. And it's sort of one of those things where there's another one of those games where if you're the Colts, there's another one of those games where they could come back to bite you in the butt, I should say. Now, as far as Commanders, they really didn't have to do too much after that just to slow down Sam Ehlinger, who had a good showing for his first career game, but had a couple of fumbles and such. I think that was lost a fumble, unfortunately, early on, but settled down, didn't really make too many big mistakes after that, just couldn't make the big plays, and it just couldn't come. The defense couldn't go through for him either. So now if you're your Commanders, you're at 4-4, you're kind of right there in the thick of it.
Yeah, you're in last place at the NFC East, but you're at 500. And as we said on Friday, Lakina, Taylor Heineke may be the best thing that's ever happened to the Washington Commanders and head coach Ron Rivera. Of course, the Colts are now dropped their record to 3-4-1 on the season. To America's Game of the Week from Los Angeles, California. The San Francisco 49ers dominated the Los Angeles Rams, scoring 14 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, 21 points overall in the second half, as the 49ers routed the Rams 31-14. Jimmy Garoppolo, 21 of 25, 235 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers ran the ball hard, 18 times, 94 yards in the score. Brandon Ayuk had 6 catches, 81 yards in a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey had a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in the win.
First player to do that since LaDainian Townsend back in 2005. So, kind of like, they opened up the playbook, especially once they were, got controlled by the second halves. Jimmy Garoppolo, 2 touchdowns, passes, and remember, they didn't have Deebo Samuel either. They had they got a bye week coming up. They got bigger fish to fry. So I don't blame Kyle Shanahan for sitting Deebo out, even though. But look, they look. This is an 8th straight win against the Rams. Well, regular season win, I should say, against the Rams. So
yeah,
they've had their number in the regular season the last couple of years. And Christian McCaffrey, I mean, if he stays healthy, and I think that's the key. If he stays healthy, not gonna say the 49ers are gonna be the team to beat, but look, our girl Christine, she was the only one of us who picked the 49ers, so it looks like her theory was right.
Yeah, and also too with the Rams, we talked about it a little bit, Lakina, before we came on air. There's a whole lot of problems with that Rams offensive line. Sean McVay refuses to run the ball. They're trying to trade Cam Akers, and Matthew Stafford can't get out his own way. I think that elbow surgery in the offseason is bigger than what people are making it out to be, and he's just not playing what the way he was playing last year when the Rams were going for that championship. So the Rams dropped to 3-4. As you mentioned, the Lions go into the bye week at 4-4. To Seattle, Washington, we go next, where the Seahawks get a 27-13 win over the New York Football Giants. Geno Smith continues to write the haters back with his performances on the field. 23 of 34 for 212 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Saquon Barkley scored once for the New York Football Giants off of 20 carries for 53 yards. Darius Slayton had 5 catches for 66 yards. And DK Metcalf, who we thought that he wasn't going to play, he made a big impact yesterday for the Seattle Seahawks.
Continue to surprise, the Seahawks are definitely one of the surprising teams. They're definitely up there as one of the surprising teams in the NFL. They're 3-1 at home now, 5-3 overall. They're now in first place in the NFC West. Geno still didn't make any mistakes. 2 touchdown passes. Kenneth Walker, the third, had 51 rushing yards. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I know that Lockett had a drop that he was really getting upset about it, and Geno Smith came in to kind of calm them down, and they actually catching the next touchdown catch to kind of put that game away. So the Giants, I think they've been falling back to earth a little bit. I think they're 6-2 now, but I think a lot of it's been by luck. I think their luck kind of ran out in Seattle, so we'll see if this sort of starts kind of like a downward spiral for the Giants. I think this is when kind of talent sort of and also too the crowd. I think Cincinnati Lake had a lot to do with that too. But
Mhm.
I think the Giants are starting to kind of fall back to earth a little bit.
Yeah, did you see? I was watching this live. Did you see that field goal? I forgot the kicker's name for Seattle. That he made the field goal and Lawrence from the Giants tipped it, but the ball went over the crossbar and bounced off the back of the crossbar and then went through. Did you check that out?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw the highlights of it. That was a little bit
Yeah,
nutty there that they were able to. He was
yeah.
able to make that kick, but yeah, it was like I said, it was sort of one of those things that kind of like helped sort of like turn the corner for the Seahawks. So it was you look like weird things happen in those games. Jason Myers. Yeah,
Jason
I mean
Myers.
that was
Yes.
yeah, that was sort of like that was a little nutty. But look, you'll take it though if you're him.
Yep. So as you mentioned, Seattle is 5-3 overall, 3-1 at home. The Giants are 6-2, 3-1 away from MetLife Stadium. As we talked about the last couple of weeks, Lakina, they still had to go down to Dallas one more time. They had to play the Washington Commanders twice, and the Washington is now back, so you cannot dismiss them. And you still got to play Philadelphia twice. So we're going to find out what this Giants team is made of over the next several weeks. And finally, to Sunday Night Football, to Western New York we go, where the Buffalo Bills dominated the Green Bay Packers 27-17. Josh Allen for the Bills, 13 of 25, 218 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Mr. Aaron Jones for Green Bay, 20 carries for 143 yards. Stephon Diggs, who started some mess with some Green Bay defensive backs before the game coming out of the tunnel, he had 6 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown catch.
Yeah, apparently, I guess according to some of the people that were there, I guess Jair Alexander, who is a cornerback for Green Bay, he started it with him, and I guess he kind of clapped back and such, and I guess he got that touchdown was he outrun Alexander and a couple other defenders. So I guess Diggs got the last laugh there. That pass and that TD that he caught in the second quarter, he gave him a score each of his last 8 games against Green Bay. That's the longest streak against the Packers in NFL history. That's 2 behind the 2 guys behind him, Randy Moss, who did it for 7 straight games, and also to Jerry Rice, who did it for 6 straight games against Green Bay. So it's sort of one of those things where you wonder what's going on with them. They pressured Allen a lot, but it didn't really help. So look, we know how big he is, how and powerful that Allen is. Now he did throw a couple of interceptions, but they really didn't do too much with them. Talking about the Packers, once they did kind of like get things going, it was way too late.
I know Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust his receivers. He thought that it would be further along than where they are right now, but it's just something bigger than that is not clicking with Green Bay. I know they tried to run the ball, as I mentioned, with Aaron Jones. He had 66 yards, but just something's not right with Green Bay. And I know they play Detroit in Detroit next week, so they may bounce back. But after that, I'm not sure. So Green Bay is kind of on life support right now in terms of making the playoffs. But before we get to our Monday night preview for tonight's Cincinnati and Cleveland game, I want to get your 3 studs and 3 duds. Looking, we'll start out with the studs first.
Okay, AJ Brown, my stud, 3 first half touchdowns. I talked about earlier the decision that he made there. San Francisco, that's my second stud. And well, in particular, Christian McCaffrey. Threw a touchdown, rushed for a touchdown, and caught a touchdown. So once he and Debo, once he gets back after their bye, you gotta think that they're going to be one of the teams that beat in the NFC. I feel like they just gotta get the defense. They gotta get them healthy too. That's been their issue there. And let's see, I guess I'll say Denver, mainly because they needed that win. And also too, as Russell Wilson said in the post game, let's ride, I guess. So I guess we're riding with the Broncos again. So those are my 3 studs.
My 3 studs, number 1, Tony Pollard, the running back from the Cowboys, 14 carries, 131 yards, and 3 touchdowns with the Dallas' victory over Chicago. My second stud is Tyreek Hill, 12 catches, 188 yards as Miami comes from behind to beat the Lions on the road. And my third stud will be Washington's quarterback, Taylor Heineke, 23 of 31, 279 yards and a touchdown pass, and he did well on the last drive, scoring the game-winning touchdown. Sneaking it in. There was a no-doubter, so Taylor Heineke would be my third stud.
All right, and I'll say my duds here. I'll say Jacksonville. I think as a whole, a lot of people thought that maybe Jacksonville could perhaps make a go at an AFC South. So far, they haven't done that. I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe it's youth. They traded James Robinson, one of the their stud guys that they did have So I don't know what happened there. Lost. I'll say the Rams. As my dud. I mean, I don't know what's
That
going
was one
on.
of them for me.
Yeah, Cam Akers. I guess they're trying to trade him before the deadline is over with. Their defense, you can't think that Super Bowl hangover. I guess it's real. So, they're one of my duds. I'll say Vegas. I said it earlier. Like you came off a bye. What the hell happened? Really? What happened there? I don't know.
All right, my 3 duds. DJ Moore of Carolina, leave your helmet on. And then when you get to the sidelines, then rip it off. But don't do it before then. Good grief. So DJ Moore is my first dud. My second dud will be the Los Angeles Rams, Lakina. Thought they were performing better. They did to start the game, scoring 14 first half points, but they get shut out in the second half, and so that wasn't good for the Rams. They got bigger problems than people want to admit. And then my third dud, it will be just because, and we're not going to discuss any further, the Chicago Bears defense overall.
Well, I'll say my bonus dud. I'll say even a bigger dud than what DJ Moore did. Eddie Pinheiro, you got to make the kicks, dude. You got to do it. You had a chip shot. Look, your 48-yard, I'll give you 2 on that for more. You'll be smart about it. But you had not 1 but 2 chances. You had another chance to kind of redeem yourself, and you didn't do it. 30-yarder chip shot that would have won it. You would be in first place right now, the Panthers.
Yeah. So those are studs and duds from week 8. Now, before we close up shop for hour number 1, we'll give you our quick preview of tonight's Monday Night Football contest coming to you from First Energy Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. It'll be the 2-5 Cleveland Browns hosting the 4-3 Cincinnati Bengals, your defending AFC champs. Lakina, what are you looking forward to in this matchup tonight? Remember, no Jamar Chase for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's stud second-year wide receiver out of LSU.
Yeah, I think Joe Mixon, you might be seeing a lot of him, and especially with the Browns defense. I know they've had their various issues and such. So this is going to really be the thing. And this could be one of those ugly games. Well, it usually is between these two teams anyway, but you may get one of those 9-6, 6-3 type of defensive struggles.
That's not good, Lakina. I got Joe Burrow starting tonight for my fantasy team.
Well, look,
don't let it get out.
Yeah, well, that O-line is still having issues for the Bengals. The Browns might. I know. I know they've had like various injuries. I know Clowney is out. I know Jarrett's been struggling since that car accident. I just don't trust them. But it's just like I don't know. But I think the key for me, I think it's gonna be the defenses. Kansas City defense slow down Cleveland. Can they make Jacoby Brissett make mistakes? Can the defense get to Joe Burrow? I'm talking about the Browns defense. So it's like I said, it could be an ugly one tonight, and not in a good way. Sorry, Joe and Troy. Sorry.
Yeah, shout out to our good buddy Lamont Scott. He said, DJ was a giddy stud. Shout out to Lamont there on our comments via the Facebook page. For as far as tonight is concerned, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you run the ball hard with Nick Chubb. I know Kareem Hunt is kind of in the doghouse. He may be traded tomorrow as the trade deadline approaches. We'll see about that. Like I said, Jacoby Brissett, one of the reasons why Cleveland has been losing these last few weeks, he's made those critical mistakes at critical times. And he wasn't known for that going into this year, but somehow, some way, every time he has a couple of great plays, he screws it up with a bad one. Is it all on him that the Browns are 2-5? Of course not. But that's part of it. The other part of it, like you said, Lakina, has been their defense has been inconsistent all year. We'll see if they can take advantage of it tonight. As I mentioned, Joe Burrow will be missing Jamar Chase, the star wide receiver for the Bengals. So we'll see what happens. But could Jacoby Brissett protect the football? And for Cincinnati, can you be more aggressive with scoring points? Joe Mixon, I think, will be a big key tonight. And also to look for Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins to step up. Those two need to have an outstanding big games for both of them tonight.
I guess. Look, I mean, look, I think it's going to be really good to be, like I said, the defense is going to be the keys for me. And, look, we'll see what happens. But, this could be an ugly one tonight. So, you can check out that game on ESPN. I don't think there's a Manning cast. I don't think there is.
Let me check real quick as I go through my TV Guide live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. The Manning cast, as we talked about on Friday with our girl Christine, it was very good with President Obama and Vince Vaughn. There was a Chicago connection with the Bears and Patriots, and rightfully so. Yes, there will be a Manning cast tonight. So you can check it out at 7 o'clock Chicago time on ESPN2.
Well, yeah, I said maybe they'll be make it a little bit more interesting, though. No doubt
Yeah.
about it. Now, hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 is straight ahead. We're gonna talk some NBA. The Bulls is a couple of tough ones this week. The Lakers and the Lakers finally get their first win of the season. Yay! They get people get free tacos. Woohoo! The World Series as it goes to the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia. Also, to some interesting happenings over there in college football, Week 9 and an old school TV Monday. So a lot to do still coming up next. Lakina McGee, Sydney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We'll have a lot more coming up hour 2 right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane?
No, not at all.
Are you not paying attention? Are you texting?
I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6.
It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention.
I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up.
My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention.
It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We are live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
We have less than 60 minutes left of this extravaganza. We call it Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you. Let's kick off hour number 2, Lakina, by discussing the Bulls in the NBA at large. We'll start off with our hometown team first. The Bulls went 0-2 for the weekend. They lose at San Antonio last Friday. DeMar DeRozan recorded his 20,000th career point as they lose a close one to the San Antonio Spurs on the road. Then they returned home last Saturday night dropping one to the Philadelphia 76ers, 114-109. Lakina, excuse me. And this is not going to be, I feel sorry for the Bulls conversation, because we all knew what the situation was going into the season, starting off without Alonzo Ball, Patrick Williams being inserted into the starting lineup instead of Javonte Green. Lakina, I don't want to jump off the bridge or ring the, but I will ring the alarm. Remember last year we talked about the Bulls, especially after the All-Star break, they couldn't beat these so-called top contending teams. It looks like it's that trend is starting to happen again. I know the Bulls did fight hard, fought back in the game against Philadelphia on Saturday, but this is not a young team anymore. They got to learn how to close out games and stop. Before then, they got to stop getting off to these bad starts. We talked about this on Friday. I like the way they played against Indiana. They took control from the start, from the first quarter to the last buzzer. Okay. And that's the way you're supposed to play every game. Now, the other couple of victories they had so far in the first week plus of the season, they've been for the other teams making mistakes or having bad shooting nights. But Saturday, you just couldn't quite finish it off against Philadelphia. You had a bad start to the game. They did come back from that. Yes, DeMar DeRozan did get fouled on that last offensive possession for the Chicago Bulls before Caruso got the offensive rebound and missed that wide open 3-point shot. But with that being said, the Bulls got to come off with a better start, and that's what cost them the game on Saturday.
Well, here's the thing: all that could be true, and I think that's sort of like the little main thing here is that all that you said could be true. The bad starts. You're not being up 15 is not ideal early on in the game. You don't want to have that happen. And also, too, some of the other things, there were a couple of questionable calls that happened during that Spurs game. I mean, I think, Johnson, I think fouled DeMar, and then that whole, I think it was Vooch that he fouled, and that foul wasn't called. So, it is what it is with that. Now, look, these are sort of the kind of games where it can come back to bite you in the butt. Joel Embiid, I think he's now 12-0 against the Bulls in his career so far, which is a little absurd, but that's a whole different avenue there. But it's only the consistency of everything, and Zach didn't play on Friday, and then they came back on Saturday, had a chance to win. That look. Let's be honest. If that had been if there was a reverse and DeMar had fouled Embiid, you I believe DeMar would have gotten called for that. But let's just be real here. And look, I think I don't want to put it all on the refs, but it's sort of one of those things you're like, and look, thank you, Lamont, for saying this. I mean, don't jump yet. Seeing have been okay. They've been okay this year, the Spurs and such. What's up, Brandon? Happy Halloween to you too. But they've been pretty good so far. I'm talking about the Spurs, but at the same time, though, I think the Bulls, if they have a couple of days off, they play again tomorrow. I'm sure they'll to rest up and kind of figure things out. I'm not going at the. I'm not giving up on them just yet. It's just one of those things where you just kind of look. It's a long season and everything else is just. I see certain people. Yes, Vooch didn't have his best game on Friday. Everyone wants to jump off Vooch. Vooch actually had a pretty decent game on Saturday night, but yet nobody.
Yeah, 23 points, 19 rebounds. Thank you very much.
And nobody has a peep. Really? You guys are definition of haters. I'm talking to you, a certain person on one of the sports, Chicago sports stations. I won't say his name, but you guys might know who I'm talking about. But I'm like, come on. But look, the second unit needs to be a little bit better. Derek Jones, you need to be better. Excuse me. Kobe White needs to be more consistent. I'm not saying that the Bulls don't have their flaws, but so is everybody else in the East. Maybe with the exception of Boston, that's about it. But I'm just okay, folks. Let's slow down here on oh my God, Bulls Twitter is such a nightmare. But
yeah, here's a player that many Bulls fans are complaining about, and that's Patrick Williams. So far, his minutes have been cut in half as he's been starting at the power forward position. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 32 minutes of action on Saturday. I want to ask Bulls fans, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on Twitter. How much time will you allow Patrick Williams to get himself together before you want to kick him out of the starting lineup? Do you kick him out of the starting lineup now and put in Javonte Green, or do you give him a little bit more time? We want to see your answers in the comment section. Once again, go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Would you kick out Patrick Williams out of the starting lineup now and insert Javonte Green? And that's the question for Bulls fans as we're asking you right here on Second City Sports right now. Javonte Green in 19 minutes of action on Saturday, he had 9 points and 6 rebounds, but he had 3 fouls. And Stacey Key, I thought, pointed out greatly on the broadcast on Saturday. You love his energy and you love his aggressiveness, but he's got to be smart at times. And shout out to friend of the show, Mr. Mark Shanowski, who filled in for Adam Amin on Saturday. He does Windy City Bulls games as well. He did a great job filling in on Saturday on NBC Sports Chicago. But you like Javonte Green. You know, I've been on his bandwagon since last year. I know he worked out all season to improve his jump shot, to improve his offensive game. I like Javonte Green. I think Billy Donovan is going to give Patrick Williams a few more games, but if Williams doesn't show any improvement, out you go, my friend. As far as the starting lineup, Javonte Green will be inserted in. As our guy Lamont Scott comments on our Facebook page, Patrick Williams is what he's always been, a better 6th or 7th man. That may be the case when it's all said and done, Lamont. I know that this Bulls management team of AK and Mark Eversley, this was their first draft pick, so they wanted to see what they can get out of him. But right now, if they thought he was going to be a difference maker, they should be disappointed right now. But like you said, Lakeem, we have a long way to go. I think Patrick Williams will get a few more games to see if he can stay in that starting lineup. But if we sit back here by the time in a week or two and he hasn't improved, he should be out of starting lineup. Javonte Green should be in.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now, let's talk about the rest of the NBA, Sid, because there are some interesting things that happened over the weekend.
Yes, the Los Angeles Lakers finally get their first win of the year. Yay!
Free tacos for all their fans.
I saw our guy Lamont made a comment. We'll see if we can find, if you can find it, Lakina, you can post it up. But the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Denver Nuggets 121-110, avenging their loss. Excuse me.
Tacos.
From their win on Friday. And there's the comment. I don't like Jack in the Box tacos, but I'm happy for the Lakers. That comes to our buddy Lamont Scott. Thanks for that comment, Lamont. So I did watch some of this game between that and Sunday Night Football last night. LeBron James did his thing at 35 minutes of action, 26 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. Russell Westbrook, it looks like he finally has a jump shot, at least for one game, coming off the bench, 32 minutes, 18 points off of 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 4 for 3-point range. Yay!
Yeah, that might actually help them a little bit. They're 1-5 right now. The Lakers and the Nuggets, just could really, once they jump into that lead, I'm talking about the Lakers, they were kind of like right there. And, it was the second quarter, I should say, for the Nuggets that kind of like, that sort of did them in. I know Aaron Gordon had 18 points. Nikola Jokic had a double-double as usual, 23 and 14. But Jamal Murray led the way with 23, but they just couldn't get it going. And Lakers were actually hitting their shots, so we'll see if they can keep it up. It's going to be hard. They're 1-5, but we'll see if they found their niche. With Russell Westbrook coming off the bench.
Yeah, and also to Anthony Davis chipped in with 23 points and 15 rebounds in 37 minutes of action. On the flip side for Denver, Jamal Murray, my guy, 21 points off 9 and 21 shooting. Jokic. He didn't have that great of a game, but he chipped in with 23 points and grabbed 14 rebounds. Denver, you shouldn't be too worried about this game last night. You beat the Lakers on last Wednesday in front of a national audience. So I think Denver will be fine. I got that vibe midway through the third quarter on that the Lakers were going to win that game, and that's exactly what they did. So the Lakers need this game more than Denver did.
Yeah, they had to bounce back from the loss to Minnesota on Friday. Now, those Friday games, Philadelphia just hammered Toronto 112-90. Tyrese Maxey that's a career high for him, 44. Sort of one of those games where you kind of like Toronto could be right there, like they're right near the Bulls for that play-in, I guess. And we'll see what happens there. Cleveland got the best of Boston, 132-123. Karis LeVert had 41. He kind of took over in overtime for for the Cavs. Upsetting Boston in Boston. That's not an easy thing to do over at TD Garden. So pretty good showing there by the Cavs. And Portland, got the best of Houston, 125-111. And the Suns got the best of the Pelicans. Now, granted, Zion, I think, still didn't play in that game on Friday. We'll get to that yesterday's game. I know he played, and they had a much better go at it. The Suns, for them, it it was Mikal Bridges had 27 points leading the way for them. CP3 didn't have his best showing, only 7 points. But it was really the bench that kind of got back to it. Bismarck Biyombo had 11, I should say. Campaign had 12 off the bench. Also, Torrey Craig had 13 points. So it was really It was really their bench guys that kind of picked up the slack for the Suns.
Yeah, going back to Cleveland, I know many people, including some local media members, said that the Cleveland were better. Had a better roster than the Chicago Bulls after they traded for Donovan Mitchell. I disagree with that, but fast forward to right now, are the Cleveland Cavaliers playing better than the Chicago Bulls? Yes, I still don't believe they have a better team than Chicago. I truly don't, but I do believe that they will make the playoffs if they stay healthy this year. Donovan Mitchell has been a world difference maker for that Cleveland Cavaliers team, and Darius Garland, I believe, is still out with an injury. We saw what they did to the Bulls last Saturday in their home opener. So Cleveland's off to a hot start. You mentioned New Orleans. I did check out some of that action yesterday against the Clippers. The Clippers, you may be in trouble a little bit, but I think the way they managed to Kawhi is fine. But New Orleans, as we said to Lakina before the season started, if Zion Williamson, who did make his return yesterday, if he can stay healthy, when they get Brandon Ingram back, they could cause some problems. So don't sleep on New Orleans either. Yes, they made the playoffs last year with 36 wins without Zion, and they gave Phoenix all they can handle. But don't sleep on this Pelicans team just yet. Just don't do it.
No, we're not doing that. So, Pelicans, we'll see if they can build off that last year's playoff run when they got to near the Western Conference semis. Now, to Saturday's game first, you got Sacramento upsetting Miami 119-113. Kevin Huerter had 27 for the Kings. Tyler Hero had 34, his season high for him so far for the Heat. And look, it's sort of one of those things where things happen. I know our girl Alana, we get Alana Tech Guy, who we gotta get her back on the show, Sid, because I know she.
Mm-hmm.
Miami's kind of struggling a little bit right now, but I think they'll figure it out. It was a tough loss against Sacramento on Saturday.
Yeah, who's the go-to guy on offense? Is it Bam Adebayo? Is it Tyler Hero? Is it Kyle Lowry? Who's supposed to be the man for the Miami Heat? That's the question I have. They're still very good defensively, so you cannot knock that. But offensively, who's supposed to be the guy? Right now, call me crazy. I'm confused.
I think so far, at least so are they. So we'll see if they can get together. The Hornets got the best of Golden State, 121-13 in overtime. PJ Washington had 31 points.
Yeah, if you're a Golden State fan, yes, this was a bad loss, but you're not tripping over this right now because as we talked about with our girl Kylie Mills on Friday, they're going through their rotation to see who's going to mop up minutes, who's going to get more playing time to relieve the starters of minutes. Who's going to be those difference makers off the bench, as they lost Gary Payton II last year, and they lost Toscano Anderson to the Lakers, also via free agency last year. So the Warriors, I know they lost again yesterday at Detroit, but it doesn't look good on paper, no. But this will benefit them in the long run. And also to James Wiseman, if he stays healthy, he's looked good in spots so far in this early part of the season. But if he can stay healthy and continue to grow while some of the other guys continue to develop, the Warriors will benefit from this toward the end of the season, especially after the All-Star break.
Yeah, I wouldn't forget if you're a Warriors fan right now. Yeah, you lost to a Charlotte team that's, I don't think they're going to be up there. They might be, near the bottom, perhaps maybe fighting for a play-in spot, but
again,
again, but yeah, I mean, they're just not there yet. OKC, beat Dallas, 117-111. They've already beaten the Clippers already, so sure, why
twice,
not?
I think.
Yeah, so sure, why not have? They're 3-3. Well, as of this moment, they're 3-3. But they've got some pretty young talent there now. Look, they're not ready to compete. They're not even ready to be, right there in the play-in. But look, I like what they're doing down there. I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You remember Aaron Wiggins, not Andrew, but Aaron Wiggins, he's over there now too. But Gilgeous-Alexander led the way with a career high 38 points.
And also, too, don't forget about second-year guard Josh Giddey, who had some minor considerations for Rookie of the Year last year. He came on late last year, especially at the All-Star break. So they got some nice young players. GM Sam Presley has some toys to play with. I know Chad Holmgren, their number one pick this year, he's out for the season due to injury. But it's some nice young core. I'm not saying all of them going to stay together, but Sam Presley knows what he's doing. So it's going to be a couple more years before they really start making some noise.
Yeah, and Utah, they're 5-2 right now. They beat Memphis on Saturday.
Aaron Laurie marketing. What is going on with him?
Look, like I said, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Utah's going to be there. But this is supposed to be a rebuilding year for Utah.
Yeah.
We'll see if some of those guys will be. Some of the guys might be gone by the time we come back in February by the trade deadline. So I know Utah fans are kind of like confused. I think so are we. But going into yesterday's games, of course, we mentioned it. The Pelicans beat the Clippers again, 112-91. Boston rebounded. Got the Wizards beat the Wizards. Cavs 121-108. Golden State lose again to Detroit 128-114. This might be some people probably figuring out. San Antonio beat Minnesota. Dallas beat Orlando 114-105. Phoenix beat Houston 124-109. To wrap up Sunday's games.
Yeah, I want to go back to one of the Saturday games. It was between Milwaukee and Atlanta. I was flipping back and forth between that game and the Bulls game. I like the way Atlanta fought on the second of the back-to-back. Of course, they beat Detroit in Detroit the night before last Friday. But that Milwaukee team, I know Chris Middleton is still out, and they're doing some load management on him. He should be back in no time. But that Milwaukee team, don't sleep on them either. I know they after that injury to Chris Middleton last year during the playoffs in that Bulls series, they ran out of gas against Boston, which went to the NBA Finals and lost. But that Milwaukee team is still going to be dangerous. Giannis, with that length and size, no one can stop him. People just leave that man alone. But Grayson Allen, I know he's an irritant. I know Bulls fans hate him for obviously reasons, and rightfully so. But he's playing well right now, and also too. Drew Holiday is still one of the best underrated point guards in the game. He doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves after a couple years there, but he's been doing this his whole career. So Drew Holiday is very good. And George Hill is backing him up with that veteran presence. So I still like this Milwaukee team. Atlanta fought hard. They had a chance to grab the lead a couple of times on Saturday on the road, but Giannis was the man. He took over. So Milwaukee, they still going to be hurt from, I believe, before the season's done.
Yeah, and I think they might be saving themselves. I guess.
Yeah.
Giannis isn't. That Giannis isn't exerting too much energy. So I'm wondering, are they just kind of waiting to see, make sure they win enough games to get to the playoffs? Either they are like a 4 or 5 seed and just kind of get that going there. And with Middleton should be back by February. That's the rumor. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, look, I'm not worried about Milwaukee either. I mean, they'll get their wins, and such. But they'll be right there.
Just like last year.
Giannis will be Giannis and all that. Like I said, I think he's just saving energy for potential playoff run. He listens to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, Lakina McGee, City Brown, and this Halloween edition of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Going into these games for this week, some good ones.
Before you go into the schedule for this week, Lakina, the Brooklyn Nets, they dropped one at home. They dropped one at home last Saturday to the Indiana Pacers. Do you consider firing Steve Nash, or do you give him another couple weeks?
I mean, I guess you could give him a couple more weeks, but it is a long season. But they need to figure things out because Kyrie's got into it. He made some comments, and we won't get into that. But they got bigger issues than them not winning right now. So it's just
true.
they got their own issues now. Now we can get into this week's games. Tonight on Halloween, Sacramento and Charlotte. That's at 6:00. Philadelphia and the Wizards. That should be a fun one. On NBA TV, Brooklyn will try to redeem themselves against Indiana, losing against. I know you're wondering, wait a minute, didn't they play each other on Saturday? Well, they're still doing some of the with the things with COVID and stuff. So I guess they're trying to limit the travel. So that's why you're seeing Indiana and Brooklyn play again. You can watch that game on NBA TV. Atlanta and Toronto, that's at 6:30 the same time. Detroit and Milwaukee, that should be a fun one there at 7:00. And Memphis and Utah, they play each other again. I know again they play on Saturday, but they're playing each other again. It's not a typo, folks. I'm not repeating. We're not repeating ourselves. And Houston and LA, Clippers will try to get back on track.
You were the comment on the last two games. The Grizzlies and the Jazz it was very entertaining on Saturday. Hopefully you can get that repeat performance again. The Jazz, as we talked about, they're one of the surprise teams in the NBA so far in this early season. They're 5-2. Memphis is 4-2. Hopefully we get another entertaining game tonight. And the Clippers, even though they're 2-4, they should rebound tonight against the Rockets.
They should. I think hopefully they can kind of bounce back. I know Clippers fans are starting to freak out right now. The Bulls will play Brooklyn. Brooklyn will be ready for it. They've had 3 days off. They actually swept Brooklyn last year. The Bulls did so. And
go figure.
Look, they'll have a lot of energy. You're getting them off a back-to-back. So I don't think there's any reason why the Bulls shouldn't beat Brooklyn. I'm putting it out there right now. That's the first game that TNT doubleheader at 6:30 tomorrow night.
Yeah, and finishing out the Tuesday schedule, we have Golden State continuing the East Coast swing. They'll visit South Beach, Florida to take on the Miami Heat. And this will be the final matchup between these two teams for the regular season. Strange, these two teams twice less than a week.
Yeah, but it's also weird that they're not net. This is the TNT game. You think this would be the TNT game and not the Bulls and Nets, but I guess I digress.
Good point. Yeah, you would think. Yeah, you would think. At 7 o'clock on Tuesday, Orlando will continue their West Coast swing as they'll go to OKC to face the Thunder. In the second half of that Tuesday night TNT doubleheader, we'll have Minnesota at Phoenix. That should be fun. The Twin Towers of Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns versus Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. Also, to Anthony Edwards, he's having a nice start for the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. So look out for that matchup on Tuesday.
We'll be watching that game at 9 o'clock on TNT. Going into Wednesday, you got Washington and Philadelphia again. I know, look, I'm not repeating myself. This is a home and home, so they'll be playing tonight in DC. Now they're going to be playing on Wednesday in Philly. I know, strange. Boston, this should be a good one here. Said Boston, Cleveland. That's the first game of that ESPN Wednesday night doubleheader. That should be a fun one.
Could be a possible playoff preview.
Maybe Sacramento and Miami. Miami will try to get back on track. They'll go be cut off a back-to-back with that win against Warriors game. So we'll see how they look. When this game coming up on Wednesday, Atlanta and New York. That should be an interesting one. Chicago, the Bulls and Charlotte. This is actually supposed to have been the ESPN game, but they pulled it back. So they made the switch
because both the Ball brothers are hurt. So
yeah, so I guess they figured the Ball brothers are hurt. So I guess they figured, why bother? But okay. But they'll have a travel day. They're coming off a back-to-back, so we'll see how the Bulls look after that game against Brooklyn tomorrow. With this game against the Hornets on Wednesday, Clippers in Houston again. It's a home and home. I feel like we're repeating ourselves on these matchups.
We're not.
We're not. I swear, we're not doing that. But Detroit and Milwaukee again. I'm not repeating myself. This is again. This is how they set the schedule early this season for travel restrictions. So you go ahead, say before people go.
Okay.
Repeat myself.
Wrapping up the Wednesday schedule, we have Toronto at San Antonio at 7 o'clock. At 7:30, Utah at Dallas. That should be an interesting one. Rematch of last year's first round playoffs. And then the second game of that ESPN doubleheader for Wednesday, we'll have Memphis at Portland, and then wrapping up the Wednesday night schedule at 9:30 Chicago time, New Orleans at the Lakers. Zion Williamson versus Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
That should be a fun one. I want to go back to that Memphis Portland game. I mean, Ja Morant and Damian Lillard. Portland's been, I think they're like 5-3 or something like that. Portland is. So this should be a good one. We'll see if they can keep it up. Could be a playoff preview matchup. So who knows?
And 2 games for Thursday.
2 games for Thursday. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have Golden State at Orlando at 6 o'clock, and then the NBA TV game for Thursday, Denver at OKC as the Nuggets take on the Thunder.
Yeah, I know. Some people are wondering, like, wait a minute, did some of these teams just play each other? It's a weird, like, funky scheduling that they're doing. So I know people need to kind of. we're not repeating ourselves. These are really our real matchups. So a little bit here, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's your schedule for this week in the NBA and the National Basketball Association. Lakina, we have to break for the bottom of the hour, but when we return, we will definitely finish up strong. We had some key college football games to review from Week 9. The Fighting Illini, should they be getting a little bit more respect than they are? Somebody did something stupid to the east of us over the weekend, and we had to get into the World Series as Game 3 will be taking place in Houston tonight. No, Philly tonight.
Philly.
Yeah, sorry. I was just thinking about the games over the weekend, and we have Old School TV Monday to get to as well. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You're listening to the Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver. I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Akina McGee on the Twitter and Akina_McGee on the IG.
We got less than a half hour left of this extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. You have any questions or comments for us? You can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Let's start off with reviewing some of the key games from Week 9 from the world of college football.
Wait, you know what? Can we do it all? Can we do World Series first? Because that's tonight.
Okay.
Because some of these games are like very pivotal, and if you're Philly, you gotta be feeling pretty good that you actually split that series, to split the first two games against Houston. So, and they won game one with a pretty dominating pitching performance. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of like this is interesting. But they tried to make it interesting late, but the Astros jumped on Zach Wheeler early, and they didn't really look back. Now Philly did make it interesting. They left a couple of guys on base, but but yeah, I think if you get 3 of them at home, if you're Philly, so you try to make some. This is actually your time to try to make do some damage, I should say.
Yeah, if you Philadelphia, you definitely have confidence right now because of game 1, you came back from an early 5-0 deficit, forced extra innings, and you got the winning run in the 10th. And so that's going to do a world of confidence. Like you said, they tried to come back late, but they came up short. And so all the pressure was on Houston in game 2, and they did what they had to do, holding off Philadelphia for the game 2 win at home. Tonight, I think it's critical for both teams as Lance McCullers Jr., remember that name, Sox fans from last year? He'll get the start tonight for Houston, while Noah Syndergaard, the former New York Met, will get the start for Philadelphia. I think it's a bigger start for Noah Syndergaard because he's going to have to give Philadelphia at least 5 innings, maybe 6, stretching it out, but he's going to have to give Philadelphia a quality start. We all know how the bets have been for Philadelphia throughout this playoff run, especially through the first 2 games of this series so far. But Noah Syndergaard's got to give Philadelphia a quality start tonight at home.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you're the Phillies, you want to try to jump on McCullers Jr. early, and if you're Schwarber, if you're Bryce Harper, this is going to be kind of if you want to try to get them right away. Now, that park where Citizens Bank Park, that's more of a Houston.
That's a Craig Jack box. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it really is. So it's going to be interesting to see which can Yordan Alvarez, can Kyle Tucker, who had a leadoff home run and such in that second game. So it'll be interesting to kind of let the sort of the way there for the Astros. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, the Phillies won game 1 about 65% of the time. The teams that win game 1 end up winning the World Series. So we'll see if the Phillies can keep up that tradition. Now, as far as like I said. Citizens Bank is sort of one of those weird parks where it can kind of you don't know what to expect. So it's gonna be interesting. The Phillies may have the advantage because they play, of course, that's their home park. So you got to think that they might have a little bit of advantage. But if you want to try to get Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, among others, Altuve, he might actually be. He might be a young hero. There might be a wild card there too. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who can kind of take advantage and who can jump on who at this point.
Which means, as we said before the series started, Lakina, that's going to come down to the bullpens. Houston has the best bullpen left in these playoffs. Obviously, Philadelphia has done enough to get by, and thanks to the support of their offense. But Philadelphia, as you mentioned, offensively, they had to be aggressive tonight against McCullers. And who's going to play the better defense? And so far, it's been all about offense in this series. But I think Philadelphia should win tonight. It's going to be tough, but I think they'll win tonight. Well, can they win all 3 games in that ballpark? Sure, but I don't think it's going to happen because Houston is too good for that. So I do see this series by the end of this week. By the time we get back here on Friday, we'll be previewing the game 6. Who's going to be leading that series? I'm not sure, but it's going to be a competitive 3 games in Philadelphia. Will Philadelphia win all 3? No, but I don't think they'll lose all 3 either.
Yes, someone's going to win 2 out of 3. We just don't know who is going to be. Will it be? Will it be the Phillies as is their park? But it will be the Astros as the experience. So it's going to be interesting. These 3 games at Philly, they could go either way. So it's really going to be the breaks and stuff. Someone's got to give. I mean, the Phillies are undefeated at home in these playoffs, but the Astros are undefeated on the road. So someone's got to give.
Something's got to give. Yeah.
Tonight. So it'll be interesting, or this whole series. So these 3, the 2-3-2 format. They got the advantage is going to be whoever's hosting it. Especially with it being split right now.
Yeah, so Game 3 will take place tonight in Philadelphia, weather permitting, on Fox. That's at 7:03 p.m. Central Standard Time. Your pitching matchup is, as we mentioned, Lance McCullers versus Noah Syndergaard. Tomorrow's Game 4 will be on Fox at 7:03 p.m. That's Christian Javier versus Suarez for Philadelphia. Game 5 will take place, if necessary, once again in Philadelphia on Wednesday at 7:05. As I said, Game 5, if in parentheses, if necessary. No starters have been announced yet for both teams as far as that game is concerned. So that's your World Series schedule for this upcoming week.
All right, listeners, I can see sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown with you. And now we could talk some college football. Some interesting things happened over the weekend. But we'll start with the good, I guess you can kind of say.
Mhm.
Ohio State got the best of Penn State. 44-31. Sean Clifford, 371 yards, but he was actually sacked a couple of times. And
Mhm.
JT Tuamalu, I hope I got his name right, became just the second player to. This is going to be interesting because there's a lot to say. He had like 3 tackles for loss. He had a pick
Mhm.
6. Hold on. Let me see. I got my cheat sheet didn't open up, so I'm doing this on the fly here. But he had a huge he had 2 sacks, a caused fumble, a recovered fumble, a tip pass. I think hope I got all that right, but yeah, he was definitely the star. And of course, CJ Stroud did his thing. I think he had like 4 touchdown passes and such. Marvin Harrison Jr. caught like 3 of those. Yes,
Yep.
folks, that's Marvin Harris's. For those of you who are wondering. But feeling old. I know. I'm sorry, folks. But a really good showing by kind of a dominating performance by the Buckeyes at Penn State.
Yeah, the Buckeyes were in a tough contest. They pulled away, scoring 28 points in the fourth quarter. As you mentioned, Marvin Harrison Jr., 10 catches for 185 yards. They didn't run the ball particularly well as a team, but like you mentioned, CJ Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. saved the day for the Buckeyes. I did check out a little bit of that game. Penn State had their chances, but Ohio State was just too strong, and they executed well down the stretch.
Absolutely, and they stay undefeated. I think that they'll be hearing their name on the first page of that college football playoff. The first raise will be released tomorrow on ESPN. So make sure you guys stay tuned and check that out as well. Georgia pulled away from Florida in their annual matchup in Jacksonville, 42-20. Really did not do too much. I mean, Stetson Bennett, he had 2 interceptions, but really did not do too much. Dejon Edwards, I should say, had 2 rushing touchdowns and 106 rushing yards. Kenny McIntosh kicked in with 90 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Brock Boyers had 154 receiving yards and a touchdown. Sort of where he's not getting mentioned for some of the Heisman consideration, but that's like actually one of the best in that rivalry game. So really a solid team win by the Bulldogs.
As you mentioned, Florida made it interesting in that third quarter, outscoring Georgia 17-7, but it was those 28 first half points for Georgia that really set the tone for that game.
Absolutely. And Georgia, they stay undefeated. They got a big matchup coming up. We'll get to their next opponent, next week's opponent, this Saturday's opponent, I should say, in a second as we go through here. Tennessee, that's the team that Georgia will be playing against next. They just hammered Kentucky 44-6. They actually scored a touchdown the opening drive, like not even like 15 seconds in. Caught Kentucky completely off guard, and that's sort of like that shows you how that game was gonna go. Hendon Hooker had another 3 touchdown passes, 245 yards. He also had a rushing touchdown. Jabari Small had 78 rushing yards, and it was Jalen Hyatt who had 138 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. But it was also the defense too. 3 interceptions. They intercepted Will Levis 3 times.
Yeah, it was total domination by the Tennessee defense, in which got the Tennessee Vols offense off and running. They scored 37 and 44 points from the second quarter on, including 20 in the second quarter alone.
Yeah, it was like I said, total utter domination from start to finish there. Michigan got the best of Michigan State. They exercised those demons after losing 2 straight to Michigan State, after losing 2 straight to Sparty. JJ McCarthy had a touchdown pass, but it was Blake Corum again, 177 rushing yards and a touchdown, but it was really the defense that slowed Michigan down. Now it was actually ended up what happening. Michigan stays undefeated, but it was actually what happened after the game. I didn't see it live, but apparently there were like 4 Michigan State players, I should say, attacked Michigan. 1 Michigan player in the tunnel.
Yeah, I saw that on social media. That was just stupid.
That was
just stupid.
Yeah, and I thought I saw somewhere that that player and quite that those 4 players were suspended. Mel Tucker suspended.
Now law enforcement is involved.
Yeah, Jamon Green, who was the player that was attacked in the middle of that brawl there, he's now he's hired an attorney, now is pursuing charges. That's what Jim Harbaugh said in a presser a little while ago. And I know people will say, well, where is security and such? look, this is a NCAA rivalry that goes back like over 120 years. Go back to like the height of this rivalry with in the 80s, especially with a couple of times when Michigan State got Michigan, as they were trying to go for a national championship. And even go back to Michigan Ohio State, especially the 70s. Can you imagine like how that was back in the day? Like our buddy Sean Davis said. I mean, just imagine the cameras. Even the cameras weren't even around then, so it was just. I think unfortunately, it's got a little bit out of hand. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm all for rooting for your team. I know this has nothing to do with fan conduct, but I'm all for rooting for your team and creating that healthy hatred. If this makes any sense, but like I said, going overboard like that's just inexcusable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure we haven't heard the last of this. So, but even still, like I said, breaks that 2-game losing streak in Michigan does against Michigan State. So, they'll probably have not heard the last little incident there. But TCU stays undefeated, beat West Virginia 41-31, holding them off. Oregon, no letdown against California 42-24. And I don't know what the heck happened this last game. Hello, Oklahoma State. I'm talking to you. 48-0 over K-State. They lose to K-State 48-0. What happened?
Yeah, I was flipping around looking. I was watching the game that was airing on ABC. We're going to talk about that game coming up. But I turned to this guy. I was like, Oklahoma State has 0. Did I miss something here? Did I miss something here? We talked about it on Friday. We expected this game to be some sort of shootout. It was all right, but it was one-sided. I didn't think K-State had it in them like that.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
It's looking at doing this Jordan Shrug for those of you listening on the podcast.
I don't know what happened there. I know Jason Taylor Jr. was banged up for K-State, but even he played, but you can tell he wasn't 100%. But still, that was just like that was just an awful display there by K-State. I'm sure Mike Gundy let his guys have it afterwards. Now, if you're a Louisville fan, you gotta be feeling pretty good. They pulled off the upset. They upset Wake Forest 48-21. I saw a little bit of this game, and Malik Cunningham had threw for 164 yards. Braden Smith had a touchdown pass and a rushing touchdown pass, I should say. Malik Cunningham actually picked up the slack by 2 rushing touchdowns, and Cardinals pulled off the big upset. And if you're the Cardinals, you've been when Lamar Jackson left, you've kind of been considered an afterthought. But this is actually probably their biggest win since he was there.
Yeah, you mentioned Louisville. They're 3-3 now in the ACC, 5-3 overall. Well, it's a big loss for Wake Forest. I'm sure they'll drop in terms of the rankings. I know they're ranked number 10 right now. They're 6-2 overall, 2-2 in the ACC. So this is a big loss for the Demon Dinkins. I didn't have them going to the college football playoff, but will they be in that rotation to get one of those big bowl games? I'm not sure. We'll see what happens.
Should be interesting there. USC with a bounce back win over Arizona. They really had to hang on. 45-37. UCLA pulled away from Stanford 38-13.
How many people were in the Rose Bowl?
Ooh, not many, I don't think. Ole Miss held off Texas A&M 31-28, and Notre Dame pulled away from Syracuse 41-24.
That was a shocker for me. I didn't expect Notre Dame to come out like that. I know Syracuse has been one of the surprising teams in college football this year. They're ranked 16th in the country. But Notre Dame, they jumped out on Syracuse in that first half, scoring 21 points, leading 21-7 at the half. Syracuse tried to make a game of it, but Notre Dame's strong start that's what led the way for the Fighting Irish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Syracuse still smarted from that loss to Clemson, so I guess they're still smarted from that. Now, Illinois, this was a game that aired 26-9 over Nebraska. Now, Nebraska did keep it close, but I guess when they lost Casey Thompson to an injury, that kind of did it for them. Chase Brown had a touchdown, 449 rushing yards, and a touchdown, and 3 interceptions in total by the Nebraska QBs, and your namesake, Sydney Brown, actually caught one of those interceptions. So, Illinois, they're 7-1. They're 4-1 now in the conference. They got a tough one coming up this week. We'll tell you who they're going to be playing against on Friday. But they got a couple of tough ones before they finish up their season against Northwestern. But where do you think the Illini will be in terms of the playoffs? Because I don't think they're going to be like near the top. I don't think they're going to probably be like 15,
No,
16, or 17 like they were now.
no, but I think they still have a good chance of I'm not going to say run the table, but I think they have a chance. There are 7 wins right now. I think they have a chance to finish at 10 wins. I really do. Like you said, they'll beat Northwestern. I know they have. But I know I'm blowing your horn a little bit. I know they have Michigan State coming up. You still have Purdue. They got to go to the Big House in about 3 weeks against Michigan. I think they'll give Michigan a run, but I don't see them Illinois beating Michigan. I really don't. So I'm counting that as a loss. But they can have no worse than 9 wins. I think they can get to 10, but I think they'll have 9 wins. To be honest with you, they'll beat Northwestern, which gives them a. Can they split the 2 games between Purdue and Michigan State? Now they beat both of them. So be it, and the Michigan game won't matter as much. But I seriously think I think they can get to 10 wins.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. I think Chase Brown, I think, leads the nation in rushing too in a lot of the rushing categories I saw somewhere. So should be getting some Heisman consideration. Maybe he will now, as more games are of importance. They play Michigan State. We'll see if the Michigan State defense could slow them down, but we'll just see what happens there. UCF scores the go-ahead touchdown in the final seconds as they upset Cincy 25-21. They were very close to beating them last year. I'm talking about UCF, so sort of like a little bit of revenge there. Miley Keene for UCF had 176 yards. And RJ Harvey, including the go-ahead touchdown, had 2 touchdowns, including the go-ahead rushing touchdown that sealed UCF's win.
Okay, I thought you went out on me for a second. Number 21, North Carolina. Okay, number 21, North Carolina defeated Pittsburgh 42-21. Drake May was 34 for 44, 388 yards and 5 touchdowns. Lakina, we talked about the ACC being down this year. Do you see North Carolina getting one of those big bowls? Because I know not too many people have talked about them, have been talking about them this year. I know it's Clemson and everybody else, but do you see North Carolina being a threat to getting one of those other big bowl games?
Yeah, they're first in the Coastal Division right now, and I think the way they're doing it now is that they, I guess they're going by win top, most wins in the conference and such. Now they've got a pretty even schedule. They play Virginia on Saturday. They played Wake Forest. And then they got Georgia Tech, and they finished up against NC State, of course, their rivalry game that week of Thanksgiving. Now Drake May should be another guy that should be getting up there. He's like one of the top passers in the FBS. I think he's like leads the FBS or is up there among QB rating and yards. So he's definitely a guy that should be up there. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, North Carolina, Mac Brown, after being kind of a disappointment last year, but they've been able to have a nice little bounce back season. So looking pretty good so far for North Carolina. And to help finish off our buddy Mike Berman, I'm sure he's excited about this one. Missouri upset South Carolina 23-10. ABC 5's Mike Berman. We had him on our show. We got to get him back on. But yeah, 23-10. They upset South Carolina in Columbia. South Carolina, I should say. So that's a nice win for them. Auburn loses to Arkansas, and Brian Hurston has been fired. But yeah, he got about a nice little $12 million severance package. So
that's his link card.
that's his link card. So OU defeated Iowa State 27-13, and I think it won't be too late for them to get up there for the Big 12. But if you're Brett Venable, I think you take this sort of like you're starting to kind of improve a little bit. You're improving a little bit on defense, so you can kind of try to finish strong and perhaps get one of those New Year's bowl games at the very least.
Yeah, they're gonna have to have a strong finish as they're 5-3 right now, 2-3 in Big 12 play. Florida, going back to the ACC, Florida State dominates Georgia Tech 41-16. I know Florida State will face the Miami Hurricanes next Saturday night on ABC. The Miami Hurricanes are now 4-4 in the year. They're squeaking by Virginia Tech in 4 overtimes, 14-12. Unbelievable.
It was it was one of those games where you feel like nobody wanted to win. I watched a little bit of it. I'm like, oh, it took 4 overtimes for that. Because remember they had to go for 2 each after the second one they had to go for 2, so like go for 2, and I guess the Miami got the best of Virginia late, so just crazy. But look at your Golden Gophers, Sid. You're the Flying PJ Flex, they call them. They shut out. They're probably their best game in a while. They shut out Rutgers 31-0. Now they still have somewhat of an outside shot of winning the Big Ten West. A lot has to happen in front of them, but with everything that's been going on this year, losing, key guys to injuries, and Tanner Morgan's been struggling, but looking pretty good. Hopefully they can finish strong. Perhaps, like I said, finish, get to those like big bowl games.
Yeah, shout out to Muhammad Ibrahim for the Golden Gophers. They're running back 36 carries, 159 yards, and 3 touchdowns to set the tone for the Golden Gophers as they improve their record to 5-3. Of course, Northwestern 1-7 after getting blown out by Iowa 33-13. Enough said.
yeah, it was actually close for a while, but they kick it into gear. Talking about Iowa, so it's a little bit nutty. Arizona State beat Colorado 42-34. Boise State beat Colorado State. San Jose State, I know there's a lot of emotion going on in that game. They beat Nevada in it's going to be a pretty exciting game, 35-28. And Middle Tennessee, they're still going strong after beating Miami. They're 1-3 now in their conference, but they've lost like 3 in a row. So they needed this win against UTEP. So a nice win for them. And that's about really it for like some of the top games. That's your schedule.
Yeah, I know Baylor won on Saturday.
Baylor won on Saturday as well. So they're trying to keep pacing that Big 12. So lots to be decided in some of these conferences. With real quick though, before we go to Old School TV Monday, who do you think will be your top 4 once they're announced tomorrow?
Oh, you'll have to have Georgia up there, Alabama. Let's see who else. Georgia, Alabama. I was going to say North Carolina, but no, not yet. Let's see here. You would think somebody from the Big 12 would be out there, Lakina, but I'm not sure.
I don't think they're there yet.
USC probably. So that's 3. So USC, Alabama, and Georgia. And that 4th team, that's kind of up in the air right now. Maybe Tennessee. So I'll go with them. Alabama, Tennessee, USC, and Georgia. That's my 4.
All right. I'll say Georgia, Tennessee. I think Michigan will be up there. Hold on, let me see here. Who else could perhaps be?
Like you say, if Michigan is up there, probably Tennessee would be the odd team out.
Yeah, see, I don't think Alabama is going to be up there. I don't think they're there just yet. That was a tough loss against Tennessee, so I don't think they're going to be up there just quite yet. But who will be at the 3rd team? I think maybe Clemson. Maybe I guess those are my 4: Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan, and Clemson. But again, like a lot.
If Clemson's up there, they'll be because of reputation.
Well, they're undefeated right now, Sid. I mean, look, I'm just a messenger here. I don't know.
No, I know.
But like I said, I mean, look, a lot could happen. Look, this is just a first ranking. You got about like 5 weeks of this, more weeks of this. So a lot could change. You're going to do a lot of teams will be, teetering back and forth. Some teams may come in, some teams might lose, some teams might, come in, might come out, or might get in. So you never know. There's still a lot to be decided here. So I will advise folks now, if your team's not up there just yet, or if you complain about one team being up there and not, I'm sure you got about a little over a month left, so it'll probably be changed by the time the second week of December rolls around.
Yeah, like you say every year, Lakina, the first draft is not always the final draft. So, like you said, we have a little bit more time to go. So it creates great debate, great conversation. The good folks at ESPN they know what the hell they're doing.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see who's going to be the top 4 in those first rankings. You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, Lakina McGee, Sydney Brown. Okay, Sid, as we wrap things up, we didn't get a chance to do Old School TV Monday last week because we had, of course, our good buddy CBS Turner Spiro Diaz. But who is your, and I think I can already see if you guys who are watching this on YouTube and on Roku TV, you already know who it is. Sid, tell us.
Well, let's go to Deering, Indiana, and pay salute to the Saturday morning TNBC show Hang Time. As Hang Time is an American teen sitcom that aired on NBC from September 9th, 1995 to December 16th, 2000 as part of the network's Saturday morning programming block for teenagers. Created by Troy Sear, Robert Tarloff, and Mark Fink, the series featured extensive casting changes throughout its six-season run, similar to its TNBC stablemate Saved by the Bell, the new class. The show's title is taken from a sports term referring to how long a basketball player stays in the air after leaving the ground for a slam dunk. Go figure. Hang Time won a President Award in 1999 for its accurate depictions of drug use in the season 4 episodes High Hoops and the breaks of the game. Of course, notable cast members were former NBA player Reggie Theus. Of course, when he left the show after season 4, I believe the role of head coach of the Deering Tornadoes was taken over by a Pro Football Hall of Famer in Chicago Bear legend Dick Buggins as Coach Kwiatkowski. Of course, you had Anthony Anderson, who's now going on to bigger, better things. He got his start on this show. I'll call him the Rick Mahorn of Hang Time. He was Rick Mahorn with a jump shot. Of course, it was based on the character Julie Connor. She couldn't play on the all girls team. It was a high school that it wasn't an all girls team, so she had to join the boys team, and she did in the small town of Deering, Indiana. Of course, you had guest stars on that program, including the late great Chick Hearn, the famous basketball announcer for the Los Angeles Lakers. Alonzo Mourning was on that program. Grant Hill, Mitch Richmond, and countless others NBA stars. Of course, Ahmad Rashad and Will Bay guest starred on one of the episodes during his first season. So it was a show about high school hoops in a small town of Deering, Indiana. As I mentioned, there were various issues from gambling to drinking, dating, and graduation and whatnot. Me personally, I believe that the best seasons of Hang Time were seasons 3 and 4. He had a very group of diverse personalities and castmates, and they really dove deep into the storylines of those characters, and which propelled that show. I really enjoyed it. Now, I kind of got into that show late. I didn't like the first couple of seasons, but seasons 3 and 4, I loved.
Yeah, I think you won't get any argument from me. So, because I've asked a lot of people say that season 3 really was the best because they kind of once they got rid of some folks and then they brought some other people on, they started to kind of like really get into it, and then of course they won a championship. They had I think they had 30 episodes at one point. Like 2 of those seasons had 30 or 32 episodes, so it was a long season. Good times, right? 32 episodes of a television series,
yes,
even in this juncture, but. I felt like after the 5th season, I was kind of like over at this point. All the casting changes, they were repeating themselves, like every show. I mean, even Saved by the Bell, the new class had that issue. I think California Dreams also had that issue too in a couple episodes. But it'd be interesting, and also too, I think Reggie Theus left to coach either. I think it was the NBA or I think it was New Mexico State at the time. He got back
right because he was doing TNT when he did Hang Time.
Yeah, so during the off season when he wasn't filming, so but I think it was New Mexico State when I guess the AD at the time called him and said, "Hey, look, why not? If he could coach high school kids, why not college kids?" So that's why he left, and of course, Dick Buckets got the call from the bullpen to come in. Coach Kalowitz was pretty cool. He had that rough exterior, but had the heart of gold and such. But it felt it kind of something was missing, and you felt like they spent 6 years in high school. Like, how is that possible? I guess only on television, but I mean, Megan Parlin, I think, did a great job. She ended up doing voiceover work after that show ended.
Yeah, she played Mary Beth Pepperton. Yes.
Yeah, Chad Gabriel. I think after he left at the 3rd season, I think he ended up doing a lot of voiceover work too as well. Jay Hernandez, who joined in season 4, he's Magnum PI now. Go figure.
And he's married to Danielle Dusher. Danielle Dusher, who played Julie Connor. So they still married to this day.
Yeah, I did not know that until someone told me. Wait, they got married? Really? Yeah. After somebody
because he joined in, I believe, in late in season 4 into season 5.
Yeah, I thought someone said that. Wait, they're married? Someone told one of my friends told me. Yeah, other friends told me. Yeah, they're married. But so I think she's doing I think she's got her own YouTube channel. I think I'm thinking I'm not sure, but yeah, good for them. I think they've been married for quite a while now, and there was some other people, but like I said, Anthony Anderson was really the guy that kind of he was you ask him about it now, he probably gets a kick out of it too, because I'm sure you ask him, like, he's the only one that's really working, because, well, other than Jay Hernandez, other than him, I'll take him out of it, but he's really the only one that's been working consistently in Hollywood, but he and Jay. So if you had told me that after everybody on that cast, he and Jay would be the only ones that be still working in Hollywood, I think people would thought you'd be crazy. So
exactly.
it's a little nutty, but look, they dealt with different issues. They dealt with date rape and drinking and fake IDs. They did it in a very funny way. But like I said, I stopped watching after the fifth season, because it kind of felt a little kind of bored, and it kind of felt a little bit too blah by then. I did watch it. I did wish it finished his series on YouTube. So all the episodes are on YouTube.
So I was watching it last year on YouTube, and everything was opening back up. So you can catch many of those episodes on YouTube.
Yeah, Peacock people, Peacock. Let's get these shows on Peacock. Come on now, but yeah, look, it was a great show, and I'm glad they kind of like got away from the issue of Julie being the only girl on the team. The first season, okay, yeah, it made sense, but yeah, after the season, you're like, oh, okay, whatever. So they really didn't mention it too much after that.
Yeah, real quick, a couple other guest stars that were on that show as far as the NBA stars are concerned. Marcus Johnson, who's now doing color analyst work for the Milwaukee Bucks on Bally Sports Wisconsin. He actually played Anthony Anderson's character's father on that show, his long lost father on that show. And the late great Kobe Bryant, who guest star. This is when he was becoming Kobe Bryant. He was in his early stages. This is at the time he was going to the All-Star game as an 18-year-old coming off the bench, and that was doing that was an episode that had to do with gambling. So he guest starred on that show.
Yeah,
so he guest starred on that show.
He helped. Yeah, he helped a couple. I think it was Julie, Michael, and Teddy out of a jam. They were gonna get
yes.
Kobe had to come in, to save the day. He was like, look at how young he was. He was like 18 at the time. Yeah, he turned 19 yet. Just got into the league, so that was a pretty memorable episode there. Especially after what ended up happening to him. But yeah, I mean, look, it was a great series. It was a great series. Look, it was a great like Saturday morning series by part of that NBC lineup. And yeah, I mean, look, it was one of those shows that it was great for what it was. It wasn't meant to like change the world or anything like that. Just a nice, fun. You learn some stuff, and yeah, it was a solid show. Get on Peacock, people. Peacock.
Yes.
Get on there.
And one more thing before we close our shop. Yours truly had a big crush on Amber Barretta, aka Christy Ford, who played the redheaded cheerleader. Oh, I was in love with her back then.
She was very lovely. I wonder what she's doing nowadays. They should do a reunion with all the stars.
They should, they should.
Really should. Get all the Andy F needs to make that happen. You got Jay too. Y'all need to make that happen, guys. Come on, it's a little bit of perfect time to do it during the pandemic. So I don't know. But,
exactly.
25 years. It's celebrated 25 years. So. When it first aired, so come on now, let's get it together here. Just saying.
Yeah, and the last episode, Julie turns out the lights at the gym. Go, Darian.
Yeah. It was kind of, of course, it was corny, but it was only fitting that she would be the one to kind of say the last words from the show. So it was fine. I had no problem with that.
So our old school TV Monday salute to the TNBC show. Hang time.
All right. On that note, you follow me at Kingdom McGee on the Twitter and at Kingdom McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you catch our podcast at War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And make sure you give War Media a follow at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yep, and make sure you catch Sports Zone Chicago live in 11 color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as you young folks would say. Catch Second City Sports live in 11 color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And don't forget, anytime you want, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago on Roku TV. If you have a Roku, if you don't have a Roku television, you just go on the Roku stick. Go on the app store, your app pages. Type in Sports Zone Chicago right there. And the search button, it'll pop right out. You can listen to watch our show, Sean and Maya. the Smoke Fellas and What's Up Cuz is going to be, I'm sure they're going to have a lot to say about that Bears game.
Yeah, you know Jason's going to have to say a lot about his Dolphins.
oh yeah. Jason Palmer's going to he's going to be doing this. And I'm sure he's going to be talking a lot too about this time next week about that Dolphins Bears game. Well, we'll talk more about that on Friday, but so check out all the shows, right there for you on your fingertips, whatever device that you got, smartphone, Chrome, laptop, whatever you got.
Yes. So for Lakina, I'm Sid. You've been listening to Second City Sports live in the living color on Sports Zone Chicago.
And stay safe out there, all you Halloween kids. Don't overindulge and don't get into any trouble. If you're not gonna wash your hands, if you're not gonna get vaccinated, wash your hands to be good to each other. This is Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you Friday.
Apples, holla.